How's it going, guys? It's me, the Techie Gamer, here with another build guide. Today we'll be looking at the $1,900 gaming PC build, and that includes the i7-5930K and the GTX 980 Ti. Now before we begin, just keep in mind that these builds serve as a stock option, and you can change any part on this list that you don't agree with, and if you do disagree on anything with this list, let me know, and if I get enough suggestions, I will make a revamped version of this build. With that being said, this build is striving for the most performance, upgradability, and overclockability, and for the most of the budget. Meaning, if I say one component is cut short, it's most likely to improve the performance of the system by spending that money on something else. Also, keep in mind that I'm not really going for aesthetics, and price may vary, meaning that the price of the build may cost more or less than the intended build. However, as of the day that it was made, so December 8th, it is currently sitting below the budget. Anyways, let's begin today's build. Starting off with the CPU, we have the i7-5930K. I picked this CPU mainly because of the fact that it's a 6-core, and also for the performance, and just flat out overclocking on this thing. This is a high-end system, so of course we're going to rock out with this awesome CPU. As for the CPU cooler, considering that this was one of the last items picked, it fit the whole build if we went with something that's going to, help strive better overclocks. Because let's face it, it would be really silly if you spend all that money on this CPU and not overclock. And of course, that is the Corsair H100i 77CFM liquid cooler. Moving on to the motherboard, I went with the ASRock X99 Extreme 4 ATX LGA 2011-3 motherboard. Obviously, because it has X99, you're probably going to be expecting some pretty awesome overclocking. I also went with this board just because of how many features it has and the upgradability it can manage. It has RAID, Crossfire, and 3-way SLI. It has 128 gigs of max memory, and it has onboard USB 3.0 headers, not to mention that it also has 8 RAM slots, meaning that it's pretty much okay if you went with some dual channel, considering that if you just had a 4 GB stick, you're going to be reaching 32 GB if you filled all those RAM slots. Speaking of RAM, I went with the G.Skill Ripjaw 4 series 8 GB of dual channel DDR4 2133. I wasn't too concerned with whether it was single channel or not, mainly because of the 8 memory slots on the motherboard. However, if you somehow want to go with 64 gigs in the future, you may want to get a single channel temporarily. In terms of aesthetics, it is more pleasing than your usual Crucial, but in terms of price, it usually doesn't matter in terms of gaming anyways, as long as it's from a company you know and trust. As for storage, I went with the Samsung 850 EVO Series 250GB SSD and also the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB 7200 RPM. This is probably something that not many would find very pleasing, considering that you could probably squeeze a 500 gig SSD or a 2 or 3 terabyte hard drive. But for the average gamer, no one needs that much storage, at least not right away. This will last you a couple years. I'm a huge gamer and I download games all the time, including games like GTA 5 or Battlefield 4, and I'm still not full on storage or even close. I have had this laptop for about a year or two. I'm not saying that you shouldn't upgrade, but for the time being, 1.25 terabytes is completely fine, especially because we're going to be spending the money on more of the other components that really need the extra performance. But moving on to the video card, I had to roll with the MSI GeForce GTX 980 Ti. It's one of the cheapest 980 Ti's, and I would have gone with the gaming 6G, but the budget was really tight, especially from what this build was throwing at it. However, being one of the cheapest, it actually performs very well for its price range. I mean, it has the twin Frozr fans, which is better than the stock, so you can definitely expect some better performance and overclocking on it. As for the case, I went with something more, and that is the Fractal Design R4 ATX mid-tower case. What can I say? It has features that we need, such as front panel USB 3.0 ports, support for some of the biggest graphics cards, including the drive bays, it has fan filters, and most importantly, has very good cable management. May not be the most stylish, but it gets the job done well. More importantly, we have the power supply. And for this, I went with the EVGA Supernova NAX 650 watt 80 plus gold certified fully modular ATX power supply. You probably won't be able to fit another 980 Ti with this power supply, and it probably isn't optimal if you plan to upgrade. But our picky budget with all of these awesome things wouldn't allow for 750 or even higher. So 650 is really plenty enough to power the system and any extra things that you would use on your computer. Last but not least, we have the optical drive and the OS. And for this, that would be Windows 10 and the Lead-On IHDS 11804 DVD/CD drive. Well, that's about it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more build guides like this and or enjoyed today's build. Also, let me know what build you want to see next in the comments as well. But anyways, guys, I will see you all in the next one. Peace.